creative skill set to match that need will have taken place. So at that stage, your creative skills will have been matched with a successful client industry challenge, and you'll begin a 2-month collaboration on an agreed project. So there will be, as Ian mentioned, agreed objectives, agreed procedures, and an agreed understanding or contract between the business client and the creative supply. There will be induction training for successful projects on the 2nd of October for those that have been matched. There will be support for creative businesses who are participating in this from the project team, and there will be support for the businesses also. There'll be support for the businesses in developing their challenges. If you guys feel after Sally's workshop later that you need more training and more workshops in relation to this whole process, then we will engage with you around that and look at how we can provide it and support you in that regard. Finally, after your 2-month collaboration, so by the end of November, the project has finished and there will be an evaluation. So the evaluation will comprise a one-to-one interview with a member of the project team. You'll complete a very short report on the project, and we'll give you a template for that. And finally, you'll attend a session where all of the matches from the first round in 2012 will meet to share their learning, their experience, and to talk amongst one another how the whole thing went. We will use that learning then to refine the programme for the next round. So we'll take your learning on board and incorporate it and integrate it into the further rollout of the programme. Just to give you some examples of what we're talking about here, we're talking about, in Judy's case, the Creative Credit Scheme was open to any business, okay? In the 4CNW programme, we are targeting industries that have been identified as significant for the Northwest region, industries that are highly innovative or that have high growth potential. So the 4 we're focusing on are tourism, life sciences, agri-food and technology. So they're the industries that the challenges will come from. And just to give you an example of the supply side from your perspective of how you might get involved in this. So let's take a tourism challenge. There's a company in Sligo that run cycling tours. They offer cycling holidays. They're doing, this is an abstract example. They're doing really well in Sligo. They would like to increase their sales and go national and international. They could work with a web designer to make their offer more visible online. The web designer might involve and invite a filmmaker to work with him or her, because they might think, well, actually, it would be really good to interview some cyclists that have really enjoyed what you're offering, to capture people in this magnificent landscape in the Northwest region. So to transfer the experience, the customised experience that's been offered by the business in Sligo. The web designer, the filmmaker, and the photographer might collaborate to capture some of the essence of that experience and make it available online, and then that way try and attract new business. Another one, let's take life sciences. A lot of people, for various medical procedures, ECGs, medication release, would have to, there's such a thing as a wearable medical device sensor. And as I say, people have to wear them for lots of different types of medical procedures. You could have a jeweler working with a medical device company to make those a lot more attractive. They're quite conspicuous and a lot of people don't like wearing them. So that's just an example of how that might work. In relation to, we'll say, life sciences again, we have in Europe an ageing population, and a lot of older people have to wear compression socks for various reasons. They're incredibly ugly things. There's no, there's no divergence of offer or diversification of offer in terms of design on the market. So you might have a fashion designer working with a company that produces compression socks so that there's a bit of variety and in that way increase sales. In terms of agri-food, you could have, for example, An Bord Bia deciding they want to really, or you could have businesses who are involved in the food sector in the Northwest decide they want to promote the Northwest as a culinary destination. They want to take foods that are unique to the Northwest and really niche products. So say, for example, seaweed, boxty, potatoes, which is specific to Sligo, shellfish. So people don't tend to buy those products because they don't know what to do with them. They don't know how to use them. So for example, you could have a visual artist making a cultural map or a culinary map of the Northwest using really inventive visual graphics to locate particular areas of culinary interest. For example, in the northwest of Donegal, in Buttonport, there's a really interesting company making quality seafood vegetables based on seaweed. In Sligo, there's the whole boxty tradition. So we have the products. They could be photographed. The photographs could be linked to the map. You could have a musician involved doing a soundtrack. You could have a storyteller or a writer involved. So that's just to give you an example of how that might work. And finally, in the technology sector, you could have, for example, a ceramicist working with an electrical supply company around the production of new ceramic insulators. You could have a group of technology startups who decide to rent a warehouse, and it's just a big open warehouse, really uninviting and not particularly inspiring. You could have an architect collaborate with them, not around designing a new building, but designing how can we make this a really productive, interesting workspace, collaborative workspace. So they're just some examples of, I'm not saying that they're what's going to happen, but they're just some examples to trigger how things might work. And then just to summarize, this is the 6-stage business support process. So we're currently building a regional broker network. We have had information sessions on the 4CNW programme across the region in Donegal, Leitrim and Mayo. We have a key contact for the project in all of those counties, and those people will circulate updates, news, opportunities to creative businesses in those regions, in those counties, as well as information about the Talent Voucher programme. We will be creating a creative directory mobile application, which I've already mentioned. We plan to have that, so people who register successfully now, between now and the end of July, that your information will be taken and put on that mobile application for the full rollout of the program. So we're starting that directory today. We'll be building the mobile application and the Creative State website over the summer. So we hope to have that in place by October for the full rollout of the programme from November. The matchmaking events I have mentioned, the Creative Challenge, Talent Vouchers, basically the business, the industry client will receive the voucher. They will be the beneficiary of the voucher and they will buy your creative services. The impact and assessment and evaluation, that happens at two levels. It happens in relation to the individual project matches, and it happens in relation to the overall 4CNW programme. And finally, you saw in the ECIA structure the policy learning platform. And this initiative is designed, if it's successful, to be mainstreamed across Europe. So we're doing a test run for Europe here in the Northwest. But if we can successfully make these matches happen, we can use our learning to inform how, for example, this scheme may be mainstreamed under the Creative Europe strategy, which will run from 2014 to 2020 and currently has 1.8 billion assigned to it. So there's massive potential, and we really need you guys to engage with us, to feed back to us whether this is working for you, how we can improve, how we can structure our events better, what sort of training and support you need. And just on that, and I'm going to close with this and hand over to Aoife. Basically, following today, we'll send out a really short survey monkey. It would be fantastic if you would just take 5 minutes and fill it in, because we really do need your feedback in order to know how best to develop this, how to refine it, and how to incorporate your learning by actual real engagement with yourselves as the people on the ground who are doing the work. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to hand over to Aoife.